sure the meaning of, what the Rolling Stones represent has kind of evolved for you over time, and, after you did get back together in the late 80s and started touring again, it just seems like things got bigger and bigger and bigger, and in a way, maybe even in a way that never even was possible before. At this stage, what do the Rolling Stones kind of signify to you? Do you still think of yourself as, as that being your primary identity?
Yes, I suppose so. After all of these years, it'd be very difficult to separate myself from the Stones in any coherent form. When I say I usually mean we. You work with a bunch of guys that hard and that long. I really find it hard to express this, except to say, hey, ask Duke Ellington, ask Count Basie how it's like to keep a band together for that long, and to still get off on it. And Ray Charles, too, old lad, these cats. They're running big bands, still manage to keep a vital thing going throughout all of those years. And there's something to it that you don't want to let go, You say, let me see how far this band will go. Go on, drop.
What's the trick?
Not dropping.
Well, one of the things that you talk about in the book is the idea of you're liking things that endure. You're not necessarily interested in just the sort of latest thing that's happening. You like things that last, in just kind of all aspects of your life. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what that comes from. Do you?
I don't know. I wonder myself. I don't know. I've usually found that things that I liked have lasted, or that there's some continuity to it, whether it was books or movies, or there's certain. You say this is not just for now. It's after all, a lot of what we live with is just for now, and you throw it away tomorrow. And why not music and other stuff? But there's certain things that you have a feeling that have a little more to say rather than just for today. Maybe they've, say for, next year, next century, if I have my way.
We were just back actually in the special collections of the library and looking at, some of these objects that have really, lasted a long time. Are there, when you think about, the Stones' career, I'm sure it's very difficult for you to, to identify specific moments of particular importance. But I'm going to ask you if there are things, where you just say, that was a real high point. If you could pick two or three that you, in your own mind, just go like, wow, that was really a special moment. That was something we really achieved. That was great.
I suppose if I go back to the first time we got in a recording studio and they paid us. That was, wow, yeah, because that's all I wanted to do, and that's all we wanted to do, was to make records, to be able to at least put things down for at least a short posterity. I didn't think it was going to be this long, but that was the desire. And I think that the first time we got in the studio, one for me, like the big high point, the first one. Second, I don't know, was probably playing New York Academy of Music. The first time to hit the stage in America was, and they're actually paying, and they're actually clapping and stuff. That was a real high point for the whole band, to be able to come to America and start to become part of everything. And the third one, I ain't been there yet.
As the Stones have evolved and over time and gotten written about and films made about, and your own book even. One of the things you tangle with is a sense of image. There's expectations of you. When people meet Keith Richards, they think of a certain way. They think of certain attitudes that may or may not correspond to who you are. I wonder if you can talk about kind of living side by side with that image of Keith Richards.
I mean, some of it is probably fairly accurate because, I mean, these things don't happen by themselves. Sometimes you feel like you're a little out of sync with the image. It's 30 years since I was a junkie, I mean, I still carry that ball and chain, Apart from that, fame is something you have to deal with, I mean, everybody individual in that way. I've sort of grown into it. I mean, there was a point I was you mean I have to be famous to do this? And then the answer is, yeah, sorry, you can't do this and nobody knows who you are, right? So, okay, I get it. And, so I slowly grew into fame the hard way. And of course, most of it's fun, Hey, what's so hard about being famous, really, Hey, what I'd say, well, a little difficult to go to the movies, Sometimes I don't feel like going down to the supermarket, But you get over that. I mean, it's just part of the job eventually. And, I mean, I hate to say I hate to feel that I ever took it for granted. But because, hey, I mean, you're all my mates. You're all my, you made me. and you've given this band of mine such support over the years that, I couldn't turn tail on it now. So I'll be as famous as you like,
Well, within that, there's, recently there have been a number of really interesting stories about your book and about you in the New York Times, and hundreds of comments from people, many of whom started sharing their Keith stories. One was you met a couple on the street. They had just gotten married. You were on University Place, I think it was 1977. And they asked if they could take a picture with you. And you went into the store, you bought a pack of cigarettes and a rose for the bride. And then you took some pictures. Another was by the guy who painted your house in Connecticut, who described your coming out and engaging with them in a conversation about what the approach to this particular job should be. And at one point, in the middle of it, just saying, "Oh, and by the way, I'm Keith." And those and stories like that just suggest a degree to which you've kind of kept your feet on the ground despite a life of just tremendous renown. I was wondering what you felt were the qualities that helped you do that. I mean, it's difficult, and we know a lot of people haven't been so good at it.
Probably the fear of my feet not being on the ground kept them there, Levitation is a trick I never quite got the hang of. But I just always thought it was important. I don't, it's okay. I'm very, very grateful that people appreciated, what I've done. I think you're all way over the top on this. But, it just goes with the territory. The idea of being, Tony, give me a new hat. This one's not big enough. I just try and keep it the way it is. I know who I am, so I don't need to fly up there to find out.
One of the interesting passages in the book also is you're writing about your father. In many ways, you've kind of walked up to a lot of edges and pretty fearlessly But you talk about when your father had been absent from your life for a long time, and when you were going to meet him again, that you were really scared about it and very nervous and
Yeah.
wanted his approval. And I wonder if you could talk about that, about that relationship. I mean, having since become a father yourself, and
Well, I left home in a cloud of disgrace, I suppose, and without getting my dad's okay or any sign after 20 years. And so I still felt probably inside that he was still a bit pissed off with me. And, for ruining the family name and all of that. Not that he had one, but... Nevertheless, dragging it once more through the mire. And so, yeah, I think it was the only time I can remember actually feeling, chicken, which is why I asked Ronnie Wood to come with me to meet my dad. Because and that's your idea of a bodyguard. Well,
but you managed to renew that relationship and really have a kind of rich and deep relationship. And I remember one moment again from the first time I interviewed you, where you were talking about children and what it was like, and just how exciting it was. And it was again an element of you that sort of countered the Keith Richards kind of. I don't know, pirate or unconnected from any connection. You spoke, again, so kind of sweetly about your children. And I wonder if you could talk about parenthood.
Well, there's a couple in the room right now. It's one of those things that until you do it, suddenly you've got this little creature that's dependent upon you. Up until then, you can sink or swim. It doesn't matter. Nobody's going to be relying on you. But once you have children, without you knowing it, a sense of responsibility comes into play. Man, don't look at me for the way to deal with this. I recognized it immediately. And to try and bring up kids and do what I do at the same time is a damn good juggling act, I can tell you. But really, when it comes down to it, it's the same thing. Wife, kids, family. These things nothing can come between that. That is, that's numero uno. And also that the kids grow up, with some fresh air and a fairly sort of unbiased attitude around them, and not being too aware that, father's far too famous for his own good, and trying to just keep people together. I mean, what is a family? It's a family is somebody that sticks together. And luckily mine all have. Bless your hearts.
Just as we come close to a close here, I want to ask you about your other family, the Rolling Stones. Are you guys going to go out again? I mean, are you going to record again? What is the...
Yeah, why not? Well, you won't keep me away. I'll do my best to chat the other guys into it. But I think there'll be something next year. I think we're rocking.
Well, Keith Richards, thank you so
Anthony,
much.
thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thanks very much. Thank you. After you.